I know the layout. I'll tell you about it on the way.
Sylvester Stallone is an American actor, screenwriter, and director who has gone from poverty to a multi-million-dollar fortune. In this video, you will learn how he achieved such success and where he is now. Sylvester Stallone, how Rambo lives and how he spends his millions. Sylvester was born on July 6, 1946 in New York. His mother, Jacqueline, or Jackie, was a big fan of actor Tyrone Power and wanted to name her firstborn in his honor. But upon receiving the birth certificate, she saw a different name. The boy's father, Frank, gave him the name Michael Sylvester Gardenzio Stallone. Frank was an immigrant from Sicily, owned a small chain of hairdressers, and was infamous for his violent temper. Jackie, who grew up in a wealthy family of a successful lawyer, connected her life with a man who was a serial cheater and a tyrant at home. The first years of his life, Sylvester spent most of his time in the house of a nanny hired by his parents. He saw them on weekends, but these meetings were very reserved. The boy felt unloved. In 1950, the family had a second son, Frank Jr., and their wealth grew. But Stallone Sr. didn't change, so in 1956, Jackie filed for divorce. Sylvester stayed with his father and tried desperately to earn his love, but it was in vain.
These your parents?
Yeah, that's both of them there.
Is this you?
Yeah, that's me when I was 8 years old. That's the Italian stallion when he was a baby.
He had other problems, like his birth defect. Due to an obstetrician's error, the left half of Sylvester's face remained paralyzed, which affected his speech. Peers bullied him, so Stallone decided that he needed to build muscle mass. For this purpose, he used car parts from the landfill and construction materials. And when he got older, he almost lived in the gym. By 13, Sylvester was expelled from 14 schools because of his aggressive behavior. At 15, he found himself at the Charlotte Hall Military Academy. At the same time, he moved in with his mother, but she would ignore him. In her entire life, she only kissed her son once, right after the divorce. Back then, Stallone started boxing and became interested in soccer. After receiving a high school diploma, he entered college, where he began acting in the student theater. Then in 1965, Sylvester went to study in Switzerland at the American College while working as a personal trainer. Later, there was a theory that he did it to evade serving in the army and being sent to Vietnam. In 1991, the actor filed a libel suit against a tabloid and won the case. Upon returning to America in 1967, Sylvester enrolled at the University of Miami as a drama major, finally deciding to connect his life with performing. In 1969, Stallone dropped out of the university and decided to conquer the New York theaters. The young man tried to act in films, but cameo roles didn't solve financial problems. At some point, Sylvester found himself homeless, sleeping at the train station for 3 weeks. Then he came across an ad about casting for the movie The Party at Kitty and Studs. It was an adult movie, but there wasn't much choice. For 2 days of filming in 1970, Sylvester received $200. When he became famous, the film was re-released as Italian Stallion. After several other tiny film roles, in 1971, the aspiring actor took part in an erotic theatrical production of Score, which was shown in 23 theaters in New York. For the most part, the directors refused Stallone because of his speech impediment, so he earned his living as a doorman, bouncer in a restaurant, and even cage cleaner in a menagerie. Sylvester shared an apartment in New York with his girlfriend Sasha Zak. They married in 1974 and later had 2 sons, Sage and Sergio. The youngest has been diagnosed with autism and doesn't appear in public. The elder Sage managed to star in several films, but died young in 2012 from a heart attack. In 1974, Sylvester got a role in the movie The Lords of Flatbush. According to him, for it, he received 25 t-shirts as a payout, after which he moved to Hollywood. In 1975, the actor starred in the films The Prisoner of Second Avenue, Capone, Farewell, My Lovely, episodes of several TV series, and the fantastic action movie Death Race 2000. For the latter, Sylvester received $700 a week. In March of the same year, the actor watched the Muhammad Ali fight and got so inspired that he decided to write a film script about a boxer who never gives up. He did not leave the house for 92 hours while writing, and the story was a success by pure luck. Stallone auditioned for another movie, but he was turned down. During the audition, he mentioned that he also wrote scripts, and the producers asked him to send them the Rocky script. At first, the studio offered Sylvester $150,000 with the condition that another actor would play the lead role. After long negotiations, the producers agreed that Rocky would be Stallone himself. For this, the actor agreed to reduce his payout to $23,000. They say that at that moment, there was only $106 in his bank account, and he could not afford to keep his dog, so he ended up selling it for $50. To get the pet back, Sylvester had to pay $3,000 and promise a small role in Rocky. By the way, the Bull Mastiff also starred in the film.
Look at his face, 64 fights. Look at that nose. See that nose? That nose ain't never been broken. 64 fights. I've had guys busted on it. I had guys chewing on it, twisting it, punching it. I mean, whack, boom. These guys are hitting my nose all the time. Never broke. I'm very proud of that. Not rare. That's rare.
Filming was difficult, as was the preparation for it. Stallone even quit smoking when he realized that he couldn't last 5 minutes in the ring without being out of breath. The movie turned out to be incredibly successful and received 10 Oscar nominations. At that time, Stallone became the third actor in history nominated for this award simultaneously for Best Actor and Best Screenplay. The creators won 3 statuettes, including one for Best Film. After the film Fist and Stallone's directorial debut, Paradise Alley, he released the sequel to Rocky. While preparing for filming, Sylvester agreed to compete with his coach in the bench press and seriously injured his pectoral muscle. Since then, half of his chest has been more sinewy than the other. In 1981, the action movie Nighthawks and the sports drama Escape to Victory about a soccer team of World War II prisoners were released. After filming, Sylvester said that playing soccer was harder for him than boxing in Rocky. By the way, the next film released was Rocky III, for which Sylvester received $7 million, followed by the premiere of First Blood.
Don't push it. I'll give you a war you won't believe.
Stallone, as the screenwriter, participated in the casting for the lead role, rejected several candidates, and eventually played it himself. He received $3.5 million for his work. In 1984, Sylvester received a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He also tried a genre change by starring in the musical comedy Rhinestone, for which he received $4 million and an anti-award Golden Raspberry. For the sake of this role, he refused to work in the films Romancing the Stone and Beverly Hills Cop that became super hits, which he later greatly regretted. A year later, critics gave a lukewarm rating to the continuation of Rambo's story, although President Ronald Reagan praised Sylvester Stallone for creating a new symbol for the American Army. For this film, the actor again received the Golden Raspberry. More success awaited Rocky IV, for which he received $12 million and the Golden Raspberry Anti-Award as the worst director.
See, I fight, so you don't have to fight. 'Cause I want you to use your head for something instead of a punching bag like I do.
Your head doesn't look like a punching bag.
Meanwhile, Stallone's wife was tired of enduring her husband's numerous infidelities and filed for divorce, demanding compensation of $33 million. The last straw was Sylvester's affair with Bridget Nielsen. They met on the set of Rocky IV and got married in 1985, but the marriage lasted only 2 years. In the end, Bridget sued Stallone for $1 million. In 1986, Stallone starred in the action movie Cobra, for which he received $13 million.
Hey, dirtbag. You're a lousy shot. I don't like lousy shots. You wasted a kid. For nothing. Now I think it's time to waste you.
Interestingly, the main character's car, a 1950 Mercury Monterey, belonged to Sylvester in real life. 9 years later, the vehicle was stolen from his garage. It was returned in 2009, and along with the car, he got $3 million in compensation. Stallone's next project was the film Over the Top, for $13 million. And in 1988, Rambo 3 was released. For his work, the actor received $16 million and a Golden Raspberry. In the next few years, the films Lock Up, Tango and Cash, Rocky V, Oscar, Demolition Man, and Cliffhanger were released. And for each of them, the actor received $15 million. Sylvester starred in Cliffhanger to overcome his fear of heights.
You want to do it? Do it.
No. You live with it.
At the same time, Stallone appeared as a police sergeant whose mother meddles with investigations in the comedy Stop, or My Mom Will Shoot.
Mom, stay out of this, okay?
Joe, wave to the crowd.
Mom,
Joe.
God damn it!
Hey, you don't swear to your mother.
Hey, butt out! Hey, my mother, relax.
Hey, it's your mother, so you do what she tells you to do.
This film, for which he was again awarded the Golden Raspberry, the actor considers the worst in his career. He agreed to star in it to spite Arnold Schwarzenegger, who spread a rumor that he wanted to get this role himself. Of course, Arnold was just pranking his friend, but Sylvester didn't find out about it until many years later. In the late 1980s, Stallone met model Jennifer Flavin. He called her his ideal, selfless, loving, and so patient. However, this did not prevent Sylvester from constantly having affairs. In 1995, Stallone reined himself in and begged for Jennifer's forgiveness on his knees and hasn't been seen cheating since. A few years later, the couple got married and had 3 daughters. Interestingly enough, when the journalist from the publication Star decided to give Sylvester an album with all his partners for his 50th birthday, it turned out that there were 595 of them. Among the actor's lovers were the singer Cher, who later called the man a Neanderthal, models Linda Evangelista, Cindy Crawford, Naomi Campbell, and Janice Dickinson. Meanwhile, the actor added several movies to his filmography. Among them were the films The Specialist, with a payout of $12 million, action films Assassins and Judge Dredd for $15 million each, and for the film Daylight, Sylvester earned $17.5 million and overcame another fear of confined spaces. To diversify his resume and play a more serious role, Stallone agreed to star in the thriller Copland for only $80,000.
There's got to be a way out of this for everyone. So I say, why don't we all go in tomorrow together?
Freddie, I invited men, cops, good men to live in this town. And these men to make a living.
According to him, it was an interesting experience and he enjoyed it, but it did not help his career in any way, as well as his health, because of weight gain for the role. Sylvester got sciatica, heart palpitations, digestive problems, and headaches. This was followed by the failed comedy, an Alan Smithy film, Burn Hollywood Burn, the cartoon Ants, where the actor voiced one of the roles. In 2000, the action movie Get Carter premiered, for which Sylvester received $20 million. In the same year, he was awarded another Golden Raspberry as the worst actor of the century. Sylvester wrote the script and starred in his next project, Driven, in 2001, for which he received $20 million. This film became famous as the most unrealistic film about motorsports. Then, after the films Detox, with a payout of $20 million, Avenging Angelo, Shade, the comedy Spy Kids 3D, Game Over, for which he received the Golden Raspberry, and the TV series Las Vegas, Stallone returned to his legendary characters in both Rocky Balboa and Rambo.
And there isn't one of us that doesn't want to be someplace else. But this is what we do. Who we are.
In 2007, he was caught importing banned hormones from Australia to build muscle mass. The actor pleaded guilty and eventually paid more than $11,000 in fines and court costs. In 2009, Stallone appeared in the Bollywood film Damn Love, and a year later, he assembled the old guard and presented the action movie The Expendables to the audience.
Yeah, should have shot him when I had a chance.
Big Barney Ross.
Bigger Trent Mouse.
What are you doing? Praying for Brooke?
Could be.
Despite being nominated for the Golden Raspberry for directing, the film received high ratings and paid off 3 times its cost at the box office. In addition, The Expendables made Sylvester the only person in the history of Hollywood who starred in films that got first places in the box office charts for 5 decades in a row. At the same time, on the set, he once again had to struggle because Sylvester suffered 14 injuries, as well as bronchitis and shingles. In 2011, Sylvester's voice could be heard in the film Zookeeper, and in the same year, he was inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame. Some fans of this sport were not thrilled because Stallone didn't appear in the ring but only played in the movies. By the way, the actor is connected with boxing not only through his role as Rocky. In the 1980s, he was the manager of a boxing match, and in the 2000s, he launched the reality show The Contender, where participants fought for a contract in the professional ring. In 2012, the sequel to The Expendables was released, which turned out to be even more spectacular, and Stallone earns $15 million. And soon, he added another movie to his filmography called Bullet to the Head. Stallone received $12 million for that work. This was followed by collaboration with Iron Arnold in the action movie Escape Plan, for which Sylvester received $10 million. The sports film Grudge Match, the drama Reach Me, and the third part of The Expendables. For all these films, he received $15 million. In 2015, Stallone voiced the cartoon Ratchet & Clank and presented another continuation of the story about the legendary boxer Creed, for which he received the Golden Globe Award.
You're gonna take a beat, you're gonna take this, you're gonna get knocked out, you're gonna get up, and you're gonna see if you got the right thing. But you gotta work hard. I swear to God, if you're not gonna do it, I'm out.
After 3 years, the second part was released, and between them, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and the cartoon Animal Crackers. Soon, Stallone appeared in such films as Backtrace, the second and third parts of the fantastic action movie Escape Plan. In 2019, the fifth film about Rambo, with the telling title Rambo: Last Blood, was released.
I want you to feel my rage, my hate, when I reach into your chest and rip out your heart!
According to critics, the ending of the story didn't turn out to be very successful, but Sylvester is sure that Rambo can still be called the personification of young soldiers and wants one of the directors to shoot a prequel about his childhood and youth. In 2021, the actor played King Shark in the superhero action movie The Suicide Squad, based on the comics of the same name, and in August 2022, appeared as an aging superhero in Samaritan. Stallone has big plans ahead. He recently returned to television in the crime series Tulsa King, will appear in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and is preparing to release the fourth part of The Expendables. And he also intends to expand his franchise by shooting a TV series and a female version of the beloved blockbuster. It also became known that Sylvester is preparing a reality show with his family members. Although Stallone mostly appears on screen with a gun at the ready, in real life, after one of his friends was shot, he calls for a ban on guns in the United States. Since childhood, Sylvester has been fond of painting. 2 of his works were even sold for $90,000, but this is only a small part of his fortune, estimated at $400 million. In addition to movies, Sylvester wrote several books about training, tried to launch a sports nutrition company, unsuccessfully, and published the magazine Sly with help tips and interviews with celebrities. This idea was also not very successful, with only 4 issues published. Another business failure happened with the Planet Hollywood restaurants. Stallone co-owned the chain with Bruce Willis and Arnold Schwarzenegger, but the establishments went bankrupt. Realizing that he was best at producing media content, in 2018, Sylvester founded his own film studio. He also sometimes agrees to star in commercials. He promoted the British bakery chain Warburton's and even Japanese sausages. But perhaps the most famous advertising campaign with him is the one for the Versace home collection. He appeared together with Claudia Schiffer as Adam and Eve. By the way, Stallone was friends with Gianni Versace and was a regular guest of the Italian fashion house shows. But the actor refused one advertising offer It was in the late 80s when an American beer brand offered him $5 million on the condition that he cut his hair. Sylvester Stallone spends his millions on an impressive collection of cars. In his garage, there are Bugatti Veyron, Aston Martin DBS, Bentley Continental GTC, Ferrari 612 Scaglietti, Ferrari 599 GTB Florano, Mercedes SL65, Mercedes E-Class, Porsche Panamera, Chevrolet Camaro, Ford Mustang, one of the most popular classic cars, Corvette 68, and even a rare Ford from 1932. We must not forget the luxury Cadillac Escalade. Stallone invested more than $400,000 in the design of this car. In addition, Sylvester loves motorcycles and expensive watches. He has a gold Rolex Submariner with a black dial, the cost of which is $20,000, as well as a GMT Master 2 Rolex made with 18-karat white gold for $7,500. However, one should not think that Stallone spends his millions only on himself. For decades, he auctioned off the original props from Rocky and eventually raised about $10,000 for the Canadian Diabetes Association. Stallone donated several million more to the project to combat childhood epilepsy. In the last decades, Sylvester has lived in a mansion in Beverly Hills. Its interiors varied from pompous neoclassicism with columns, curtains, gilding, and statues to modern bright decor. At the end of 2021, Adele bought this house for $58 million. Today, Sylvester owns a mansion in Palm Beach, Florida, with a pool and an outdoor jacuzzi worth $35.4 million, and an estate in Hidden Hills, California, bought in February this year for $18.2 million. The house has 5 bedrooms with bathrooms, a kitchen with granite countertops, a dining room, and also a stable on the territory. Previously, Stallone owns a villa in Miami with 3 guest houses, which he sold for $24 million. A house in Coconut Grove, Florida. The actor received $16 million for it in 1999, as well as a house in La Quinta, California. Sylvester and his wife bought a Mediterranean-style mansion in 2010 for $4.5 million and sold it in 2020 for $3.1 million. Sylvester Stallone is a whole era in cinema. Despite critical reviews of his acting and a string of nominations for the Golden Raspberry, he became a fan favorite. And what is your favorite Stallone role?
You're not as fast as you think.
I'm beginning to sense that.
Keanu Reeves, how Hollywood's most wholesome guy lives and how he spends his millions. Keanu Charles Reeves was born in Beirut, Lebanon on September 2, 1964, in the family of an English woman, Patricia Bond, and an American, Samuel Reeves, who had a wild cocktail of Portuguese, Chinese, and Hawaiian blood. By the way, Keanu got his unusual name in tribute to the origin of his dad. Translated from Hawaiian, it means cool mountain wind. At the time of the meeting in 1960, Patricia was working as a dancer and Sam was doing odd jobs, including some shady ones. The man didn't have a decent education. He even received a school certificate in prison while serving time for drug trafficking. Over time, he managed to get a job as a geologist. The young family's life was hectic, with constant moving, and 2 years after the birth of their son, they found themselves in Sydney, Australia. Their youngest daughter, Kim, was born here in 1966. Soon, the father of the family left Patricia and the children. Keanu was so frustrated and resentful that even as he grew older, he did not resume contact with his dad, cutting off all his attempts at bonding. After Australia, the Reeves family moved first to New York, where Patricia became a successful costume designer before settling in Toronto, Canada. She married 3 more times, gave birth to a daughter, Karina Miller, from her 3rd husband, but all her marriages inevitably collapsed. Studying was not easy for Keanu, as the boy was diagnosed with dyslexia, which they tried to fight with the help of speech therapists and psychologists. But the disorder is called genius disease for a reason. Reeves read a lot of books, including all of Proust, thanks to which he cultivated perseverance, diligence, and trained his memory close to a phenomenal level. Besides, he was an excellent chess player, and as a child, beat some adults earning $1 for a win. Keanu still loves to read newspapers with chess puzzles on the pages. And what Canadian boy doesn't play backyard hockey? Reeves was noticed by a local coach and invited to one of the schools, and his childhood team He was a goalkeeper, but according to his teammates, he didn't have the physique necessary for this role and compensated for this with amazing agility and jumping ability, for which he received the nickname The Wall. By the way, he is still in the International Hockey Player Database and enjoys playing for himself and rooting for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Apart from sports, Keanu attended drama club. After an injury, Keanu had to give up on a great future in hockey, so he concentrated on his second hobby. At the age of 9, he first tried acting. He played in the musical comedy Damn Yankees, and at the age of 15, he appeared on stage as the Shakespeare's Mercutio. At the age of 17, the guy dropped out of school and left home for his girlfriend named Pat. He never received the certificate. Keanu had to pay for his free life by doing any part-time job, including mowing lawns in other people's lawns and cooking spaghetti in Italian cafes. In 1983, the young man appeared in a Coca-Cola commercial as a cyclist. Reeves still remembers that shoot with warmth and laughter, because they had to shoot in winter, pretending that they were languishing from the heat. After that, he appeared in many more Nave commercials, including advertising for Canon cameras and Japanese whiskey Suntory. At the same time, Keanu took part in small TV series and short films, and his first notable role was in the film Youngblood, where he played the goalkeeper of a hockey team and received a fee of $3,000. After the film was released in 1986, Keanu, with the help of his first stepfather, Broadway director Paul Aaron, received an American green card and moved to Los Angeles. There, he got an agent, and on his advice, used his pseudonym for the first time, because he considered the name Keanu too exotic. Therefore, in some films, he appeared as Norman Reeves and Chuck Spadina in honor of one of the streets in Toronto. The end of the 80s was the time for a good start in the big movie for Keanu. In 1988, he appeared in such films as Dangerous Liaisons, The Night Before, Permanent Record, and The Prince of Pennsylvania. Then he played in Parenthood, Life Underwater, and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and then in the TV series of the same name and in its sequel. After the movies I Love You to Death, Tune In Tomorrow, My Own Private Idaho, the premiere of the action movie Point Break became a real breakthrough. Patrick Swayze was his partner on the set, but Keanu was so good on his role that he got the MTV Movie Award for Most Desirable Male.
You mad? Yeah, I'm mad! Good and mad! Yeah! What do you want to do about it? Feels good, doesn't it? Like you're still alive, right? Yeah! Well, since you're still alive, and you're not in the box just yet, why don't you tell me this theory of yours and we'll go get these guys?
The role in Bram Stoker's Dracula, which was released in 1992, was also a great success. Interestingly enough, Reeves and Winona Ryder's characters were married by a real Romanian priest, and now it is their favorite subject for jokes to call themselves legally husband and wife. In 1993, even Cowgirls Get the Blues, Much Ado About Nothing, and the colorful philosophical drama Little Buddha were released on the screens. For the main role, Keanu had to lose a lot of weight, sitting on a strict diet of oranges and water. The reaction of the audience and critics was polarized. Some were delighted, while others couldn't figure out who the film was made for and criticized the actor's performance. A short but apt review of the film came from the Dalai Lama himself, who offered modest praise but remarked that Buddha could not be small, pointing to the film's title.
I've never seen it. I've not even seen my own city. I must see the world, Yashodhara, with my own eyes.
The very next year, the actor broke into the world of A-list celebrities after his role in the movie Point Break. The director of the action movie Speed couldn't imagine anyone else for this role aside from Keanu. The film was a huge success, and his partner was Sandra Bullock, with whom Keanu is still good friends. Although it was rumored that there was a fleeting romance between the performers of the main roles, Reeves received a fee of $1 million for this role.
Shot me. I can't believe it. I'm giving you a medal for shooting me, you little prick.
Harry, you told me to.
Member of the Los Angeles Police Department.
When the film was released, work on Johnny Mnemonic was actually finished. However, the Sony officials, seeing the success of Speed, demanded a reshoot of many of the scenes in order to add fights and shootings. Initially, the movie was supposed to be an atmospheric fantasy film with noir and cyberpunk vibes.
Must have been pretty good at memorizing, huh?
Implant. Wet-wired. I had to dump a chunk of long-term memory.
You had to dump a chunk of what?
My childhood.
Your childhood.
The actor's next works were A Walk in the Clouds, Chain Reaction, Feeling Minnesota, and The Last Time I Committed Suicide. The pearl of Keanu's filmography is rightfully considered the mystical thriller The Devil's Advocate, released in 1997.
What are you? Oh! I have so many names. See. Call me Dad.
In order to participate in the filming, he had to refuse the offer of a role in the sequel of Speed, as well as part of his fee, which amounted to $8 million, to ensure Al Pacino's participation in the project. 2 years later, the world was shocked by the release of the cult sci-fi thriller The Matrix. The preparation for the shooting was tremendous. The actors trained for several months, and just before the start of practice, Keanu injured his cervical vertebrae, which further inconvenienced him. He had to wear a special bandage for several days, and he had to make another sacrifice for the scene of Neo's awakening in the capsule. The actor lost almost 15 pounds and shaved his whole body, including eyebrows.
Wow, that sounds like a really good deal. But I think I got a better one. How about I give you the finger, and you give me my phone call?
In the early 2000s, after The Matrix, the public expected something extraordinary from the actor, but what followed was a series of quite average films. Among them are The Replacement with a fee of $12.5 million, Hardball, The Gift, and The Watcher, in which Keanu didn't even want to participate. However, his insidious agent forged his signature on the contract, and Reeves reasoned that it was easier to act in the film than to butt heads with the traitor in court. In 2001, the melodrama Sweet November was released, which was not a huge hit, but it was very important for Keanu, who had suffered a personal tragedy and really wanted to vent his feelings on the screen.
What do you do, by the way?
I'm in advertising.
Advertising. So you enjoy it?
People tend to enjoy what they're really good at.
This was almost the only time when Keanu himself was chasing the director, persuading him to give him the lead role. The fact is that in 1998, at one of the parties, he met his sister's friend Jennifer Syme. The passion blossomed, and Reeves, who had convinced everyone that he was a hardened bachelor, bonded with the girl with all his soul. They even decided to become parents, but a week before the birth, the baby girl, whom they decided to name Ava Archer, suffered a cardiac arrest. The actor withdrew into himself, and his lover decided to fight the grief with alcohol. That's what eventually led to her death. In April 2001, Syme died in a car accident while returning from a drunken party. After these tragic events, the actor could not dare to have a serious relationship for a long time, limiting himself to short-term romances or friendships with women. After he survived this series of misfortunes, Keanu took a new job. In 2003, the drama Something's Gotta Give was released, as well as 2 sequels of The Matrix, At Once Reloaded and Revolutions, which followed the story of the war between people and machines.
If you tell me we'll make it, I'll believe you.
We'll make it. We have to.
The films grossed a very decent figure at the box office, exceeding $1 billion, and Keanu received 15% of that in addition to his $30 million fee for both movies. However, he took a risk during production by turning down $38 million to have the money invested in creating costumes and special effects. As time has shown, this investment has more than paid off. After that, Keanu had a forced break from work because his sister Kim was diagnosed with advanced leukemia. The girl received this devastating diagnosis back in 1993, but for many years, she managed to keep the disease under control. In order to help her, Reeves stopped all activities and went to the Swiss city of Montreux, where he stayed with his sister constantly. Fortunately, the disease was defeated, and now Keanu is an active participant in charity events aimed at fighting cancer. Release of the superhero action movie Constantine, based on the mystical comic book Hellblazer, took place only 2 years later.
This is Constantine. John Constantine. Asshole.
The film didn't collect awards and a lot of money, pleasing only loyal fans of Keanu. However, the movie has a chance for revenge. The Warner Bros. Film Company announced the production of a sequel in September 2022. In the same period, the movies Thumbsucker, Ellie Parker, A Scanner Darkly, The Lake House, and Street Kings were released. The 2008 movie The Day the Earth Stood Still became special for Keanu because, unlike other works, no one competed with him in casting. The producer of the film, Erwin Stoff, couldn't imagine anyone else in the role of the alien Klaatu. The filming turned out to be very exciting for the actor. He improvised a lot and even added a few lines to the script. Perhaps this practice served as a starting point for his future directorial career. In 2013, he directed the film of Man of Tai Chi, where he also starred. At the same time, Reeves kept starring in movies by other directors. He has appeared in such films as The Private Lives of Pippa Lee, Henry's Crime, Generation and 47 Ronin. The next cinematic masterpiece in which Keanu starred was loved by both the public and critics. For the role of a retired assassin, he even received a rare positive Golden Raspberry for restoring the actor's reputation, Razzie Redeemer Award. The action movie John Wick served as the birth of a media franchise, which included films and television series, comics, soundtracks, and computer games. The fourth movie is about to be released, and the fifth one has been announced.
Always complain.
Always complain. You, working again?
No, just sorting some stuff out.
In the following years, the actor starred in the films Knock Knock, The Whole Truth, Exposed, The Neon Demon, The Bad Batch, Replicas to the Bone, Siberia, Destination Wedding, Always Be My Maybe, Between Two Ferns, the movie, and Bill and Ted Face the Music. There is also quite a unique film in Keanu's filmography. This is a crime comedy, Keanu, which tells a story about the adventures of two friends saving their kitten. The name and voice of the kitten are Reeves, and by the way, this is not the only time when the actor voiced characters. For example, in Toy Story 4, he voiced Duke Kaboom. The year 2021 saw the release of the Wachowski sisters movie, The Matrix Resurrections.
I felt either I'm having a mental breakdown again, or I'm living inside a computer-generated reality that has imprisoned me again.
And a year earlier, to the delight of gamers, Cyberpunk 2077 was released. It was a video game created by Polish developers based on a tabletop game published in 1988. Keanu played one of the main characters in the game and appeared in a fast-paced promo video.
Test of a person's true value? Death. Facing it. Staring it down. You still got a chance to be somebody.
Keanu is one of the richest actors in Hollywood. His fortune is estimated at $380 million, while the ratio of his one-time fee to the total amount of his earnings is a historical record that no one has been able to break since 2003. Reeves is happy to spend his money on gifts, so almost the entire crew of the first Matrix was lucky enough to fall under his good graces. After filming ended, Keanu reportedly gave away $75 million, making costume and special effects artists millionaires overnight. After filming Reloaded, Keanu gave each of the stuntmen a Harley. For quite a while, he didn't even care about his living conditions and considered it normal to just rent an apartment or a hotel room. Keanu got a permanent home only in 2003, but he chose a very impressive villa he built back in 1988 in the Hollywood Hills in Los Angeles, costing nearly $5 million. The property is spread over an area of an acre and consists of a house made in constructivist style, a garage, a pond with decorative fish, and a long swimming pool. Keanu is known to create the interiors of his home with his own hands. He chose the finishing materials, selected the furniture, textiles, and decorations himself. At the same time, Reeves didn't build any fences, hedges, and he even used to keep his doors open. As for the cars, Keanu is an avid Porsche fan. He has a beautiful Carrera 4S in his garage. As a child, according to rumors, Keanu couldn't choose between a career as a nuclear physicist and a car racer. It is safe to say that he has fully realized his passion for speed and roaring engines. And if Porsche is just a passion for him, motorcycles can be called his true love. When he was 22, a pretty girl driving a Kawasaki Enduro caught his eye. Keanu borrowed a bike from her and asked her to teach him how to ride it. Since then, there have been many bikes in his life, including Kawasaki, Suzuki, and Harley. In 2011, all this resulted in the creation of his own brand. The Arch Motorcycle Custom Bike Company is run by just two people, Keanu Reeves and mechanic Gard Hollinger. All in all, the actor can easily travel by public transport as well. He can often be seen among subway passengers, and some even witnessed his gentlemanly behavior. Keanu also dresses quite simply and only as he feels comfortable. These are mostly stretch jeans, t-shirts, dark-colored jackets, and heavy boots. He might even show up to a prestigious award in his old sneakers. However, in 2019, Reeves became the face of the St. Laurent fashion house, thanks to which fans were able to appreciate the coolest style of their favorite actor. Stunning black and white photos in which Keanu is dressed in strict trousers, shirts with a tie, and daring leather jackets were as much anticipated as his next movies. By his own admission, Reeves has now entered his most enjoyable age. He finally had a life partner with whom he began to appear in public in 2019. Keanu and the artist Alexandra Grant were friends for a long time. She even helped the actor to publish his book called Ode to Happiness. So far, the couple doesn't comment on a possible wedding, but the available photos are full of mutual affection. Keanu admits that he has become quite wise, calm, and emotionally fulfilled. He wakes up in the morning with ease and does only what he wants to do. He can go for a run or play his beloved basketball, or he can stay home and cook something delicious with his friends all day and drink Bordeaux. He may have a nice glass of whiskey with a big ice cube when he's not occupied with work. He prefers moderation in food, making sure not to overeat. His diet includes chicken, vegetables, and rice, but sometimes Keanu enjoys eating steak or pizza. Potato chips and Coke are not forbidden either. Keanu's signature dish is Belgian waffles with butter and maple syrup. The actor calls this combination of proper diet and the occasional forbidden food the recipe of his youth. Sometimes his reservedness and private nature is perceived by people as a manifestation of some kind of emotional suffering. Thus, on June 15, 2010, the photo of Keanu taken by a photographer from one of the tabloids spread around the world. It shows Reeves sitting on a bench with a sandwich, embodying universal melancholy and hopelessness. The photo made a lot of noise. Many people were seriously worried that there was something wrong with the celebrity. This reaction shocked the actor. It turns out he was just thinking to himself and was hungry. However, this didn't stop witty fans from creating a couple hundred memes in which thoughtful Reeves sits in the company of a variety of characters, from Stalin and Churchill to kittens and skyscraper builders in New York. They even decided to establish the Cheer Up Keanu Day, which, thanks to one publication, is now celebrated every June 15. The actor himself was happy to insert an illustration with a reference to this day in his comic book, Berserker. By the way, the comic book, where the main character is based on Keanu himself, after the release in 2021, was so popular with readers that the company Netflix is making an anime series and a feature film based on it. Perhaps one day we will see Keanu Reeves on the Broadway stage, because he has a dream of playing in a musical. Why not? After all, he is not only an actor, but also a musician. In the 90s, he played bass guitar in the band Dogstar, and then he was a member of the grunge band Becky. Keanu is a star of incredible magnitude, a talented and bright actor, but in contrast to many of his colleagues, he is not arrogant. He is relatable and perceived by everyone as a guy next door. When he gets tired, he likes to drink hot tea with lemon and honey, and when he needs to stop and think, he sits down on a bench in the park and stares into the distance, not noticing anything around him. Unfortunately, life sometimes presents unpleasant surprises and trials that we all have to go through. At such moments, he says, "Don't let fear get a hold of you. Be afraid, but don't give up." Do you agree with Keanu?
A bit. But let's say it was my real grave. What would you write? Here lies Johnny Silverhand.
If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything interesting.